Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Students, good morning. Hello. So, dear students, very good morning to all of you. And in today's class, we will talk about the chapter number 4 materials, that is, metal and non metals. In the previous classes, we have seen some of the chapters and which we have already completed. And after that, I did not take so many classes of your due to some reasons and due to some problem. So onwards today we will start your class and we will try to complete all the chapters before starting off your school. So once again, good morning to all of you, and let's begin this chapter: material, metals, and non-metals. So first question arises from this chapter, and that is, what is metals and non-metals, and why we are going to study about this under material. What are the actually materials, right? Okay. So the first point is here: occurrence of metal and non-metal. And so what are the materials? Materials means you can say the substance are the things which can occupy space, and it has the substance that have some mass, right? So that thing is called your material. And under this we will talk about the metal and non-metal. So what are the actually metals and non-metals? So here you can see metal means what. Hmm? Metal means some of the materials which they have metallic properties, right? Which means metal means something like that, the materials which can be attract or repel to each other. If you have seen some of the materials, right, or some of the uh, things which can conduct electricity, heat, right? So that are the substances, they have some metallic properties. And if we talk about the non-metal, so which means the materials which don't conduct any electricity and heat, right? So these are the some metals are non-metals. So here if you have seen your periodic table, right, so there is some elements, approx 119 elements are present in our periodic table, and out of these 92 naturally occurring elements, right, and 70 are metals and about 22 are non-metals, right? Which means we have 92 metals which are sorry, naturally occurring elements, are which we can say substances, right? These are the elements which means pure material or pure substances which are made up of only same kind of the particles or atoms or molecules. So these are the substances which called our that is the your element, right? And here we have 70 elements are as a metal, right? How many elements? 70 elements. And about 22 elements are non-metal. So what are the metals and non-metal? We will see here. And other than this, we have also another point or another things, that is the metalloids. So what are the metalloids? So metalloids means the properties of the some materials which occupy between the metals and non-metals. So these are the substances or material which are called metalloids, right? So here you can say some elements whose properties are both metal and non-metal, means there is some materials or some elements which shows some properties of both the non-metals and metals. So they are called metalloids, right? They are called metalloids. Next here, and only some metal like gold, silver, platinum, etc. are found in the free state. Most metal are found in the combined state as oxide, sulfide, carbonates, silicates, etc. Right? If we talk about the some metals, so metal like gold, you have seen about gold, right? Some people are wearing, right, as an ornament, silver and platinum, and etc. means not only these elements, we have various elements which are found in free state, and most elements are most metal found in the combined state, right? So mostly the metal which are found in the combined state, right? Like as oxides, sulfide, carbonates, silicates, etc. So these are the some combined states of our metal which are found in the nature. And here some non-metals are found in the free state. Some of the non-metal are also present in the nature which are found as a free state, like helium, as you know, this is the gas, right? And neon, argon. So these are the some non-metals which are found in the free state, right? And some are found in free and combined state, like sulfur, phosphorus, etc. Right? So some of the non-metals are also found in the nature as a combined state, like sulfur, phosphorus, etc., like sulfur dioxide, right? Like sulfur phosphide. And we have various uh, non-metals which are found in combined state, right? Like phosphorus oxide. So we have various kind of the metals and non-metals. So these are all about the your metals and non-metal. I think you are clearly about this point, right? Means occurrence of metal and non-metal. Occurrence means where these metals and non-metals are going to found, right? Means where these elements are, these metals and non-metals is going to found. So these are the occurrence means in the naturally we have 92 naturally occurring elements. Out of 92 we have 70 elements which are found as a metal, right? And if we talk about the metal, so metal can occur freely as well as a combined state. And out of 92 we have 22 elements which are found as a non-metals, and so non-metal elements are also some elements which are found in the free state as well as combined state, right? And here's the some example like gold, silver and platinum. These are the some your metals, right, which can carry your electricity and conduct heat. And if you talk about the your uh, non-metals, so which means here is a helium, neon, argon. So these are the your non-metals elements, right, which doesn't conduct any heat and electricity. And some of other non-metals are also found in our nature in the combined state, like sulfur dioxide, phosphorus dioxide, and so many other elements. And in between these two metals and non-metals, we have also another class of our elements or materials, so that is called your metalloids. And metalloids carry both the properties of your metal and non-metals, right? Okay, like we will see in the next, right? Like metalloids, silicates, right? And here we have germanium, graphite, and silicon. Like these are the some metalloids kind of the substances. Next we have metallurgy. What are the actually metallurgy? Metallurgy means to study about the extraction process, right, and purification of the ores, right? Ores means from these ores these metals are going to extract, and after the purification these metal are obtaining in a pure form, right? So this is the metallurgy. And under this metallurgy we have various processing methods by which we are going to purify our metals and non-metals, right? So generally here we are talking about the metals, because in the metallurgy we are just going to extract our metal from their ores, right? Which means if we have iron, so how this iron is going to extract from their ores? So which means if you have heard about the iron pyrites, or we have that is the iron oxide. So from this iron oxide and iron pyrite we are just going to extract this metal. So this process is called your metallurgy, right? And here is very very important two term, that is the minerals and ore. So what are the minerals and what are the ore? So you must have to remember these 2 points. Minerals means minerals are naturally occurring substances containing one or more element on their compounds, right? Which means here is the some substances, right, or some materials which contain one or more element on their compound, right? If we have any compound, under this compound we have one or two, right, one or more than one elements, right, can combine to form a minerals. What are the ore? Ore is a mineral. Ore is a mineral from which one or more metal can be extracted profitably, right? Which means to be uh, to be profitable we need to extract one or more metals from one ore, right? And that is called your ore, right? Means your mineral is also ore, but all minerals are not sorry, all ore are not minerals, right? Here's the one important statement you should have to remember, that is the all minerals are ore but not all ores are minerals, right? So here this is very very important point which you have to remember, that is the all minerals, right, are ore but not all ores are minerals, right? Why? Because minerals are naturally occurring substance containing one or more element to or their compounds. And similarly ore is a minerals from which one or more elements can be, or more metal can be extracted profitably. Means to be getting profit we need to extract one or more elements, right, or metal. So next we have metallurgical process. What are the metallurgical process? Means why this metallurgical process is very important, very very important for us. Means to be extract of the metals we need to process of the metallurgical, right? Which means we have to perform some step by step process, right, by which we can extract our metal in the pure form. So first here we have the concentration of the ore. First point or first step to extract the metal, that is the concentration of the ore. Means first what we have to do, firstly we have to collect the ore, right? And if we have collected the ore, then the first step is that we have to just concentration of the ore. Means first what we can do, we have to just crush the ore and then wash the ore, and then we have to just concentration of the ore. Means when we collect, after the collection of ore, we have to just wash the ore, by which we can just remove the unwanted material as well as dust material from the our ore, right? And then what we can do, we can just crush the ore so that the concentration can be increased of the ore. And next we have to reduction and refining. Reduction, which means we are just extracting the ore, extracting the metal from the ore, right? Which means if we have iron present in the our ore, so we can just reduce, right? By the process of reduction we can just separate our iron from the iron containing ore. And next, in the reduction process, if we have obtained some metals, and so in that metal there is some chances to be have some impurities, so by uh, the refining process we can just refine, and by the process of refining we can just obtain, or we can just gain the pure form of our metal, right? So this is the last process, that is refining. So first process, that is the concentration of the ore. It means it is the removal of impurities from the ore, right? So as I have already explained here, so firstly what we have to do, first step, that is the concentration of the ore, means the removal of the impurities from the ore. First we need to do remove of impurities, then only we can go for next process, that is the reduction. And the reduction process of obtaining the metal from its compound, right? Which means if we have concentrated our ore, so by the process of reduction we can just obtain the metal from its compound, right? Which means if we have iron pyrite, so we can just obtain, or we can just reduce that iron pyrite into iron, right? So this compound can be reduced. Next process, that is the refining. It is the process of purification of the impure metal to obtain the pure metal, which means if the our metal is going to reduce, so after that we can just go for refining so that the purification can be done, and the metal can be obtained in the pure form, right? So this is the last process, this is the purification, sorry, refining or purification, right? So here is the some properties, right? What are the properties of physical and sorry, properties of metal and non-metal, right? So if we know the properties of metal and non-metal, so it is it will be very good for us to understand what are the difference between the metal and non-metal, right? And we will easily classify how we can differentiate metals and non-metal. So here is the some properties, physical property, right? Physical properties, which means it can reverse or it can obtain after the reaction, right? So next here in the physical properties, if any changes is going to take place, so then physical property is not going to changes, right? If we have, suppose if we have any metal, and if we are going to cutting any metal, so the physical properties, which means shining, luster, light, these properties can't be changed. So in the first means in the left hand side we have this metal, right? And in the side we have a non-metal. So here metal are solid except mercury, right? You have to remember that metal, all metals are solid except your mercury. Means mercury is the metal which exists in the nature in the liquid form, right? So as you have seen this mercury in the thermometer, right? So in the thermometer this mercury liquid is filled, and which helps to measure the temperature of the particular place, and as well as for the human body, right? In the clinical thermometer. And non-metal, so non-metals are maybe solid, liquid or gas, right? So non-metal can be exist in the three states, right? It could be your solid, liquid, gas, right? For example, if you have carbon, right? So carbon is generally your non-metal, right? But if you go for allotrope, right? So allotrope of your carbon, there is a graphite, right? So graphite we have like as a metal, or it can conduct electricity, right? So here carbon is generally your it is considered as your non-metal, and it is in the solid form. And similarly liquid state, right? So like your bromine, right? So your bromine is a exist in the liquid state, right? And some of other elements are also exist in the liquid state. gas state like your helium, right? Helium is also your gases, oxygen, nitrogen. So all these elements are exist in the different states of your non-metal, right? Okay. Next here, metal are hard except sodium, potassium, right, etc. So here metals, all metals are hard, but to accept your sodium, potassium, and you have that is the rubidium, cesium, right? So these are the some metals which are the means these are the smooth metal we can say, but mostly metal are hard in nature, right? And sodium and potassium are soft metal, right, which can be cut by knife, right? And these metals are very highly reactive, right? And if you talk about the non-metals, so non-metals which are solid are brittle, right? Brittle means if we uh, what, right, if you beat these metals, so it can be burst, right? It can be damaged, right? Like diamond is the hardest non-metal, right? You have to remember this, right? Diamond is the hardest one, right? And metal having metallic luster, right? So all the metal have metallic luster means if we pass any light or anything, so this can be reflect the light, right? So metal have luster, right? Non-metal don't have luster, some have dull luster, right? So if we talk about non-metal, so non-metal they don't have any luster, right? But some non-metal having dull luster means they have very less luster in nature. And right, metal have yes, metal have high melting point and boiling point. All the metals having high boiling and melting point, right? Why? Because the metal have hard in nature, their bonding, their metallic bonding are very hard, or we can say their metallic bonds are very strong. So that is why these metals are their metallic melting point and boiling points are very high. And if we talk about the non-metal, so non-metal have low melting points, right? Why? Because they don't have strong force of attraction, right? Hence they are their melting and boiling points are very less. And metals are malleable, can be made into thin sheet, right? So metal can be malleable, right, which means if you beat these metals, so it can be converted into a thin sheet. And if we talk about non-metal, so non-metal can't be malleable, right? Metal non-metals are if you beat these non-metals, so it can be brittle in nature, it can be burst, or it can be break down into small part, right, small parts. And metals are ductile, right, means metal can be form a thin wire or a small wire in nature, right? But these non-metal can't be made any wire, right? From this non-metal you can't make any wire, but from your wire, from your metal it can be made a very thin wire, right? You have seen in your home that is the electric wire is made up of your metals, right? So this can be, this metal can be converted into very thin wire, right, due to this ductile in nature. And next we have here, metal are good conductor of heat and electricity, right? So as I have already explained here, all the metals are good conductor of heat and electricity, right? Why? Because these metals having free electrons, right? So hence they are good conductor of heat and electricity. And these non-metals are bad conductor of heat and electricity except graphite, right? So as I have already explained here, because this graphite is a allotrope of your carbon, so this graphite having free electrons, so that is why this graphite can conduct electricity and heat. But all mostly all the non-metals are bad conductor of heat and electricity. And metals are sonorous, produce sound, which means if you uh, beat your metal, so it can produce some sound, right? In your temple you have heard of your temple bell, right? So that is nothing but your sonorous or your sound, right? Produce metal or produce sounds. And non-metal can't produce any sound, right? Which means if you beat any wood or anything, so it can't produce any sound, right? So these are the some properties of your metal and non-metals. So these are all about some of the points which we have covered today, and tomorrow we will complete this chapter. And sorry for that, because today started this class very late, right, because due to some technical issue. So in the next class we will try to complete this chapter. So till then, bye bye, take care, and try to note down all these points and all these things which we have covered today, right, and try to make a proper note so that it will be good for you. So, and try to share this video to your friends which can be benefited, and share and subscribe my channel, right. Okay, so till then, bye bye, take care, thank you.